Hey YouTube, so I'm up here editing video for this week's projects, and I did one on the clutch system, the hydraulic clutch system on my 2012 V-Strom, and I introduced it down in the garage as the brake system. So I caught that in the editing. So this is now the intro for that video, and welcome to changing out the fluid in the clutch system on the 2012 V-Strom. So here we go. First thing, we'll open up our master cylinder. It's a simple Phillips screwdriver. Nothing fancy here. Really, the only tools you're going to need are a Phillips screwdriver, an 8mm wrench, preferably a opened end or box end wrench, and some fresh clean brake fluid, and a small section of hose that fits nicely on the bleeder screw. You'll also want to get some kind of a bottle or a reservoir or something to drain the fluid into as you change out old with new. So when I open this up, I've got a cap. I'm not going to lose my screws here. I have this plastic cap here, and then underneath the plastic cap is a rubber gasket and diaphragm. And be careful not to drip any of this fluid, this is brake fluid, onto any of your painted surfaces, or it will strip that paint away very effectively. Next step is we've got some old dark brake fluid in here. I want to drain this reservoir as much as I can and start out with clean fluid up here as we then push that through the system. You know, why push all of this dirty fluid through the system? Let's just get it out of there. One of these syringes that you can get at the drugstore is really handy for this, and you can just suck that out in about 3 sucks and squirts. I've got a bottle down here by the bleeder screw that I'm draining this into. Again, don't get this on painted surfaces. Or if you're working on a bike with a lot of chrome, don't get it on chrome either. It'll wreck that. And I just want to suck the level down to the point where I don't want to introduce air down into the master cylinder. So I'm bringing it just right down to the inlet hole for the piston on the master cylinder, and but keep some fluid up above there, and then we'll top off with clean fluid. Careful not to spill. And pretty close to the top, but I don't want it to overflow, so I'm going to play it safe. So now let's move down to the slave cylinder. So here I've got my slave cylinder. I've got a bottle for the old fluid sitting there with a hose ready, and we'll get that connected up. And I've got my 8mm wrench on the bleeder screw, and then this hose just clicks down on top. You may have to hold it. I've got such a stiff piece of hose that I'm having a hard time keeping it settled. I think that should be good. What I don't want is that hose to pop off. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to swing around and use the box end side of this so that I can get into it while the hose is on. My hose is just cold and stiff. You may want to try to get a more flexible piece of hose. but I think that's going to work. So with my left hand, I'm up on the master cylinder. I'm going to pump fluid and put pressure on the system. And then I'm just going to release that. And then hold the lever closed with my left hand while I tighten that bleeder screw back up. Then I can re-pump that up with fresh fluid. You see how dark that is coming out of there. And we'll keep doing this, alternating between loosening while I'm applying pressure and tightening that bleeder screw. Until I see the clear fluid running through there and that I've flushed all of that dark stuff out. Keep pumping. The other thing you want to be very careful is don't run so much fluid through the system that you drain the master cylinder reservoir. And don't let up on the clutch lever until you have tightened the bleeder screw, or you could introduce air into the system. And air is your enemy in any hydraulic system. Air is compressible, so that'll give you soft, well, on a clutch it would really mess with you, but on like brakes, you'd have really soft brakes that were quite ineffective. So getting a little clearer. I'm going to check my reservoir level. I'm about halfway down at this point, so I'll keep going. And this is not such a large system that you need to do more than one whole reservoir through. But you know, every bike is going to vary. It's going to depend on what the total volume of that system is. Now I'll just top off that reservoir with a good level. I don't want to go so full that when I put that rubber gasket on, there I spilled some, and my rag is close. Spill brake fluid, get on it right away. Okay, I'm going to get this buttoned up now, and then I'll go back with some parts cleaner and degreaser and wipe that off before it eats away at that paint. So here's that rubber gasket, the plastic thing underneath. These words should be readable or legible from the rider's position. And put the two screws down on top. These screws do not have to be crazy tight. You know, just snug that cap up so that it's compressing that gasket a little bit, just to keep a you know, fluid tight seal there. But you don't have to really torque these little screws down. There's no pressure against them really. It's just trying to keep the fluid from leaking out. And especially if you have a plastic reservoir, don't go cranking those screws down too hard. So that's it with with that on top and my bleeder screw tightened up below and the hose removed, I'm done. Clutch is bled and fluid is changed. Thanks for watching, and be sure to hit the subscribe button and like, and we'll keep creating these videos for you. Thanks. One more quick comment before I sign off. When you're done doing a job, even if it's an oil change or something very simple, go to your logbook and capture what you did and when you did it. So here I've got a page on brakes, and I'm going to enter in here that we changed the brake fluid in the front, and I also did the front brakes. I also did the slave cylinder on the clutch here today. So both of those entries are going to go in here. And what's the purpose of this? Well, one, to remind me, when did I last do this stuff? I forget all the time, especially oil changes. I can't remember when I did that or how many miles I've put on, and it always surprises me how quickly I can put 2,000-3,000 miles on. But also, if I ever come to sell this bike, this book can bring up the value of a used bike by quite a bit. A good log book that shows diligent maintenance and attention to the care of that bike is going to instill confidence in a buyer, and they're going to know that you've got something that hasn't been neglected for sale there. So do your logbook. Thanks a lot. Take care.